Go Green, a Family Matters Earth Day special, is made possible by the following partner.
At Providence Health and Services, we're as committed to the health of our planet as we are to the health of our patients. That's why we're doing our part to support sustainability. Providence knows a healthier world makes for healthier people.
If it's already out there made, why not put it to good use?
All these materials that people just throw away and convert them into something usable.
It's rethinking your purchasing.
That is a free service, and it is free to fail.
We can go out and exchange for other fun stuff.
Think globally and act locally.
So this whole machine was recycled.
Because we value what you're doing for the environment.
We're making the world greener one tire at a time.
There's lots to keep out of the landfill.
We can actually recycle that.
And that's the big dream, you know.
Go Green, a Family Matters Earth Day special.
Hello, I'm KATU meteorologist Dave Selesky, and welcome to Go Green. You know, as we're all becoming more Earth conscious, a lot of people are finding new and inventive ways to make their carbon footprint even smaller. In the next half hour, we're going to show you some unique and simple things you can start doing today to help ease the burden on our environment. There's an old saying that one man's trash is another man's treasure. Well, we found someone who was creating artistic treasures as an alternative to sending this off to the recycler.
I've been around metal most of my life, and I see things that other people don't see in metal, and that's kind of how I think it started. Constantly thinking about it. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about art, you know. Here's some saw blades. These all would be headed to the scrapyard. This is a water meter. Some of the gears were off of a lathe.
Hi, Terry.
Morning, Rick.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good to see you.
I hear you got some stuff.
Yes, we did. We got another batch of meters in. Would you come back and take a look?
You bet.
All right, let's go on back. He takes all these materials that people just throw away and convert them into something usable with a second life.
Well, I've gone to several companies that want to go green, you know, and they're wanting to salvage.
Terry said, well, we're looking for, you know, products to recycle. I said, great, I'll help you out. You can reuse the product rather than just scrapping the product out.
You know, I usually take what I make out of their stuff back and show them. And they're fascinated by what we come up with. We're saving the whole footprint by making art out of it rather than have it go through the whole process of shipped overseas and come back as something else. People are starting to get the message that, you know, this is a fragile earth and we have to, you know, take care of it. And to be able to recycle the stuff that was used, to me, is just smart. You know, I mean, it's just a smart thing. We have to do this because we're running out of resources.
You go and lay out the items in rows, and it's pretty much just dumping out your sacks.
At Providence Health and Services, we are as committed to the health of our planet as we are to the health of our patients. From building to sustainable standards, to composting food waste, from encouraging alternative transportation to work, to safely recycling plastics and other products whenever possible, Providence knows a healthier world makes for healthier people. Providence Health and Services, caring for our communities in all ways.
It's one of the most important of the 3 R's. See how a group of women are turning reuse in a way to be fashionable and have fun at the same time.
Welcome. Hi, is this your first swap? Welcome. I'm Barb. In a typical swap, You go through and you find items in your house that you no longer need, love, or want. Hello. Have you been to a swap before? You wash them up and you bring them to a swap in a bag.
I'm gonna have to like wrestle some girls for clothes in this small area.
You go and lay out the items in rows, and it's pretty much just dumping out your sacks. And then you go stand next to an item that looks interesting, and when the swap coordinator says, on your mark, get set, swap, then you start picking things up. Hey. And then you try the clothes on, you see if they look good on you, and if they do, you keep them. And if they don't, you throw them back in the pile for somebody else to use.
I'm a single mother with children, so when you go shopping and pay full price, it's ridiculous. This is a way that you can recycle and reuse things, and even things that have holes or stains women would use for craft projects.
For a free swap, everything needs to be free. There's no admission charged.
Go in, grab something, and just try it on without having to think about paying it is really, really nice.
I do kid swaps, and what I notice is that there's a lot of clothes out there for kids that end up being donated when we could really just share them with our neighbors.
And it's rethinking your purchasing. You don't have to go out and purchase something when you already have a plethora of things available to you.
And at the end of the swap, all of the remainders are donated to a charity that will actually give them away. So everybody gets to be a philanthropist. I would like to see clothing swaps in every single town all over the world, because we all have stuff we're not using anymore. There's people out there that would love that, and not because they're poor, just because they're going, it doesn't make sense to throw out perfectly good clothing. If you need some item you can't find at a swap, buy it. But if it's already out there made, why not put it to good use?
To find out how to join a clothes swap or even start one of your own, go to the Family Matters section at KATU.com. More and more people are using their backyards to grow fruits, vegetables, and even raise chickens. And there's a growing group of people who are using the internet to create an electronic community garden.
The way I got the idea was just in my own community garden here. I started trading locally at the garden, and then I realized, you know, it would be great if I could reach out to people and list what I had available to trade people. And then the idea just kind of sparked. It's a free system for bartering food, vegetables, fruit, fish, dairy products, eggs.
We have 2 chickens who are great at producing lots of eggs, more than we can eat, and so rather than just throw them away, we're able to kind of trade them with people local in Portland and get things that we weren't able to get in our garden this year.
Jen?
I am. I've got some good eggs for you here if you want to check them out.
Cool.
Nice to meet
It's good to meet you.
It's real easy. You just post an ad online and you just get a response pretty quickly. Figure out what works best for you and just meet up and trade.
You can post an image of what you have to trade. You list in one of the 5 categories, and you just give a brief description, and then that connects you to somebody else that might be looking for that item. It doesn't need to be just fresh produce. There's a lot of varieties of food you can get your hands on, canned goods and pickled goods. That's maybe not fresh from the garden, but it's still a source of local food. I think it's neat when you have really talented farmers and urban kind of folks just growing here in the neighborhood. Why don't we just get our food from here? Via the website and the internet, the goal is to just reach out to more people in Portland. So obviously, the more people, the better.
For more information on the Portland Food Exchange, head to the Family Matters section at KATU.com.
Then they start disassembling wires, the copper cones, circuit boards.
KATU is on your side, and we're proud to be certified by the City of Portland as a Recycle at Work business. From resource reduction methods to recycling initiatives, we're working every day to reduce our own carbon footprint. And watch KATU News for exclusive Green Living segments, stories and information designed to help you live a more earth-friendly life. It's a commitment to the environment that KATU shares with you, and together we can make a difference. KATU is on your side.
You know, being retired, changes come easy. No more morning alarm clocks, no more commute, and the only thing you need to work at is staying healthy.
One change we're not going to make is our health insurance. What we've always liked about Providence is they're big on preventive care.
Providence Health Plans, providing health insurance
and peace of mind.
We'll be staying with Providence.
We're here at the Metro Central Transfer Station, and it used to be old items like this television set would wind up going into a dump or a landfill. But now there are earth-friendly ways to give old stuff like this a whole new life.
Well, you'll see it in any Goodwill store. There's an explosion of television sets that are the old kind, the kind with the back end. We test it to see if it works. If it works, it goes on the retail floor. If it doesn't sell, it goes behind the floor of the outlet where it's recycled to URT.
We take electronic waste that are being discarded by the consumer businesses that are basically at their end of life.
Everything from TVs to laptops to computers to printers, cell phones, stereo equipment, anything pretty much with a cord.
That's the basic disassembly process of televisions, monitors. They're separating the plastic housing, then they start disassembling wires, the copper cones, circuit boards, pieces of aluminum, metal, and those things get put onto the conveyor. They go down, and someone at the end of the conveyor is sorting that out into different containers to go to different waste streams. What's left over is almost nothing. So these are the CRT tubes that come out of the traditional televisions. So URT is one of the only companies in the United States that has this process. We break them down into the different types of glass. We remove the hazardous materials. There's lead, cadmium, heavy metals that are hazardous to human beings and the environment. We clean this glass and put it into a furnace-ready glass cutlet material that can be sold.
Our technology has gotten to a point where we can recover those materials directly from the existing stockpile that's out there and reuse that material to make new consumer electronic devices. So in a way, URT is the 21st century strip miner. We're actually going into the closets to get it and into your garages to get it instead of into the ground.
They keep us rolling down the road, but what happens when these old tires wear out? We found a place that puts the grind on these old tires and also creates a safer environment.
The truck arrives, it backs up to the conveyor belt. We have a hydraulic system that dumps the tires out on the ground. For the larger tires, we use an excavator to load them onto the belt. Then they go through the first shredder, which makes a single pass, cuts it in 3.5-inch strips. And then it goes into a recirculation system that reduces it further and further until we get it down to a 3-inch chip. And if you look at the pieces, you can see a steel belted radial has the wire reinforcing underneath the tread. And so that makes the tires really difficult to tear apart. We'll use magnets to remove the steel, and it goes into a baler. It's sold for scrap metal. And then the size of the material continues to reduce down. This is the final product. We're going from the whole tires down to 10-12 mesh material. It's called crumb rubber, and that's what RB Recycling uses to make their product.
What we do is we prevent a lot of tires from going to the landfill by reprocessing rubber into products that go out into the market and are useful to society. For example, playground surfacing that protects children from falling off of playground equipment, horse stall matting that helps horses be comfortable in their environment. The chips that come down to us get processed further into a smaller and smaller chip, and we continue to remove fiber and steel out of it to get it pure as possible. We have a couple of different processes. One of them is a molding process. And what they do is they take urethane and the rubber, mix it together, pour it into a mold where it's put under pressure and heat to form a molded playground tile. This is the finished product. This is a 4-inch playground tile that will be used, could be anywhere across the country, to go under playground equipment. So a kid can fall from 10 feet high and be protected from getting seriously hurt. The mat process, we take rubber and urethane and put it in a big blender. We blend that together and then it drops onto a belt that's moving. And an operator takes a rake and rakes that across the belt so it's evenly spread on the belt, and it's pressed down for a certain number of minutes to form a finished large mat. We also make rolled rubber, which is used in athletic flooring. We produce that by making a giant log out of rubber, and then we skive it like you do a veneer. And it turns into rolls of rubber that can be laid out 25 feet long by 4 feet wide in an athletic center. We're pretty proud of the fact that we take tires that were destined for the dump, we further process it, and we turn it into products that in many cases are good for society, like the playground tiles. We're making the world greener one tire at a time.
In a recent survey, there were over 1 million cars on the road in Oregon. That's a lot of cars and the potential for a lot of air pollution. Find out why the DEQ Vehicle Inspection Program is so important to our health.
The early days of the program were a lot less elaborate than they are now. It was essentially a giant blue van filled with computer equipment. And when I say computer equipment, you have to think of the 1970s type of computer equipment. Glass tubes, big dials. We use this equipment to do basically what we do now. Take a tailpipe reading from a vehicle and see how much pollution is being produced. We no longer have to perform some of the lengthy tests that we used to in the past. We now have a test that takes under 4 minutes to perform, and it's computer-based, and it gives us a more accurate reading of how a car is performing than we ever had in the past. The fine particulate that comes out of motor vehicle exhaust will lodge deep into your lung tissue and can carry poisons into your bloodstream. So reducing that by any amount is a good thing. And all the folks that come visit us, they contribute to eliminating 169 tons of pollution a day. And it's really good to do that for the environment, for your children, and for public health.
We're only going to capture about 50% of it. So we have to make up the other 50% in gray water reuse.
Henry was really sick about a year ago. The ER, lots of hospital visits, lots of doctors. It was really overwhelming. One thing we never had to worry about was Providence, our health insurance. They were really there for us. They made us feel safe.
Providence Health Plans, providing health insurance and peace of mind.
And Henry, he's doing great now.
Hi, my name's Carl Grimm from the Metro Natural Gardening Program, and it's spring planting time. I've got this broccoli here I'm going to plant, and we have this cover crop, and cover crop is one of the greatest things that you can do to have your soil protected over the winter. And to get to this point, we have to go all the way back to the fall. I always like to start with weeding the area that had the tomatoes or beans or whatever other summer crops that you had. And then I like to just rake it smooth, get the weeds out, make it a nice flat seed bed. And if you hit a stump from your tomato plant, you can just leave that in there. It'll rot and break down for next year's crop. So the first step is to inoculate the seed that you're going to put in the ground, particularly any seeds in the bean or pea family. They need a little inoculant to help them grab nitrogen from the air to create free fertilizer. And they do it with the help of tiny bacteria, and that's the inoculant. Got some fava beans, some crimson clover. I'm going to make a mixture here. Add some rye. We're going to get it wet. And then we take the garden inoculant, we sprinkle the powder on there, and then we mix it up, and it's ready to plant. And so now we just sprinkle the seed out, and we want to do it a little bit dense because not all of them will make it through the winter. Then you want to cover it up with a thin layer of soil. And voila! Cover crop bed. Okay, so here we are. And we have our great cover crop, and the first step here is to cut it up, so it will be easier and quicker breaking down in the soil. Okay, so the next step is to dig the cover crop into the soil, and it's just like adding a good layer of compost and a sprinkling of fertilizer. So once you've turned it under, then you want to just smooth your soil out, and then you're ready to plant. So there it is. Plant a cover crop on bare soil in the fall, protect your soil over the winter with that, and then you can reap the benefits all year long.
You've probably seen rain barrels like this. Maybe your neighbor's backyard, maybe even you have one yourself. But we're going to show you some people who are taking rainwater harvesting to a whole new level.
Rainwater harvesting is essentially capturing the rain that hits the roof of the building and storing it and then reusing it. Here we're actually using it for drinking water. We've got 3 above grade rainwater cisterns. They're 2,500 gallons each, total of 7,500 gallons. They're a high density polyethylene tank which is rated, NSF rated for drinking water. The way the system works is we've got a metal roof which is required if you're going to treat to potable standards. There's some pre-filtration before the water goes into the tanks. It goes through a 3-stage filtration system down in the basement and then goes to whichever plumbing fixture is calling for water. I wouldn't define it as extreme. I would define it as trying to push the envelope. I think one of the things that's really interesting is that we get really good water quality. And my 8-year-old daughter talks about how she doesn't like going to grandma's house because the water tastes bad there. So I have a green roof on the entire house, and it's great for stormwater management, it's great for carbon sequestering, it's great for the environment, habitat, all the great attributes of it. It's counterproductive for rainwater harvesting. We're only going to capture about 50% of it. So you have to make up the other 50% in gray water reuse. Gray water is water that you collect from your lavatories, you collect from sinks, including the kitchen sink. This is coming straight from the lavatory and the shower and the master bath, and it comes down here and it meets up with water that's coming in from the other bath, and it meets down here and it comes into the tank there. So we're just capturing that little bit before it gets put into the sewer. We basically have 2 plumbing systems on the waste side. We have a black water and we have a gray water system that's running the walls. So that's a big hurdle for most people. If you can overcome that hurdle, then gray water is a really easy slam dunk. We missed about a generation, maybe a generation and a half, where we're not reusing water. And it's been interesting to see that sort of reversed its trend. And we're seeing it all over the place. Dual flushing toilets, low flow fixture heads. Everybody can be water wise. That's just common sense.
Raiding in the power of the sun has become a very popular topic, but getting started can seem daunting. We found a company that is trying to take out the stress of creating a solar-friendly world.
You know what most people don't realize is we get most of our sunshine on our longest days. The days of summer, the long days of summer bring great sunshine, and the short days of winter bring most of our rain. So it's a real seasonal environment that generates more sunshine than most people expect. Oregon actually gets about the national average of sunshine on an annual basis. A great solar home is one that faces either south or west here in the Willamette Valley. It has little or no shading from surrounding trees, a roof that has at least 20 years of lifespan left on it, and is strong enough to withstand the additional equipment on top of it. We mount a framework onto the roof material that is all flashed in and waterproof, and then they install the panels onto those rails that are connected by a series of wires into the home. It typically provides about 30 to 40% of their energy that they would normally have would come from their own solar system. The main hurdle is the upfront cost. You're essentially buying your electricity for 30 years in advance. There was a rule change with the Department of Energy that had a series of incentives for homeowners to get solar onto their home, and they just changed the rules so that not only could homeowners use them, but they could also be applied for third-party owned systems. So companies like Solar City could come in and enable them to put solar on their homes. You know, the lease really is the easier path. It gives everybody of any budget the opportunity to have solar. And what it allows them to do is they can put solar on their home, they enjoy the benefits, they lock in their energy prices for the term of the loan, which is 15 years, and bring the costs down to make it approachable so we can increase adoption and meet the renewable portfolio standards that we have for our state. As we all look to become more independent in what we do and self-sufficient, this is just one more step that we can act as an individual homeowner and affect the quality of the earth and the air that we live in.
We've only scratched the surface on ways we can ease the burden on our planet. For more information, head to the Family Matters section at KATU.com. There, you'll find a complete resource center with links, video clips, and information to help you go green. For KATU and Family Matters, I'm Dave Selesky. Good night.
A century of service and innovation. Fisher Communications.